Now I've gone and done something silly for testing porpoises here. The testing porpoises are very demanding, don't you know? Yeah, we got a plug on a 20 amp wire going in, tied to neutral, tied to ground, and then we just have the phase split to the one breaker. This isn't the biggest deal in the world. The heater can't work because it's basically going to get the same phase in either side. It would just be like taking a piece of wire and connecting it to itself, coming off the same breaker, do nothing. Basically, this is just going to test my lighting. Now, the light on the end is plugged in via extension cord. There is a hot wire going to it, but it's capped off inside there with a Moret. But at any rate, let's see what happens. Gonna have to unplug this light for a second. All right. Will we have explosions? Well, I have this breaker turned off, so let's turn this breaker on now. No explosions. Let's turn on the light. Okay, that's weird. And this has nothing to do with my rig, but look at that neon pulsate. Can you see that? But I flicked it and one of the lights turned on. Flick this one and the other light turned on. Well, that's a success so far. Oh, it's gonna be nice and lit in here, man. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. One light just for checking in and out, and wow, yeah, lots of lighting. Now the question is the outdoor light. The fan is capped off. Oh, the outdoor lights are on. There you go. I put a 40 watt over the door and 100 watt on the side. Just normal light bulbs until I find something LED that I like. Or maybe I'll just leave those things in there. It's not like I'm gonna be brewing those things for hours on end. So three-way means that turns it off. And then I come back inside and that turns them back on. However, down had them on while the outside was down, which means this is backwards, which means I need to fix that. I don't like that. So outside is switched to off now. That should also be off. I like it when they match. See, I'm gonna fix on that right now. Fortunately, they're on a different breaker as the main lighting, so I can make the circuit go cold and not have to unplug everything. Unfortunately, as much as I can't advise it, I'm comfortable working on a hot panel. However, those skylights are so super effective, I don't really have to. When I'm in here during the day, I can just unplug that and have plenty of light to finish the work that I'm doing. All right, so without scratching up my fancy box, I'm gonna have to take that all apart. Going to have to let the switch come loose. So I just have to reverse the red and the white. Oh, is it ever bright in here now? I think I made the right choice going with 3 of those light fixtures. I chose 20 amp wire for this silliness because the outdoor plug circuit on my house is 20 amps and it's a 12 gauge cable coming here. So yeah, it's a 20 amp service. You know, in retrospect, I could have just flipped this. I could have just went, oh boy. Oh yeah, I recall now. I couldn't really tell which way was up on the outdoor. That's the thing, they don't really tell you which way's up on these things sometimes. Well, they do because of the writing. All right, now the excruciating process of getting this back in because these screws bind up. Now while I have this open, I want to adjust these tabs a bit. Let's put her back together, bud. All right, now let's see what we got here. Right, look out the window. Up is on, down is off. Up is on. Yeah, it's not a good scene. Take my word for it, it's working now. So now that I can hook up the board for testing purposes, if I need light in here, I'll just do it that way. Fortunately, during the day, when I do most of my wiring, the skylights let more than enough light in, so it's not a problem. That was the green watt light fixture from my other video. It still had the cable in there. I just left the cable in there so I could plug it in and get light when I'm working in here. Now I've taken the cable out. I've left the connector in place to protect the wire. The fan circuit breaker's turned off. This is the fan circuit right here. It's capped off. This is the hot wire for this light coming off the main circuit. It's live right now. That's supposed to be my neutral bus. I'm gonna tuck this hot wire out of the way because I need to work on this neutral bus. So obviously the neutral is connected right now, but there's no potential on neutral. You can't get electrocuted on neutral unless you're touching something that's hot at the same time and hot tries to pull through you. Hot's gonna kind of electrocute you anyway, even if you aren't touching a neutral. Just not as badly. It'll electrocute you way worse if you're touching a neutral. Get one of my nice blue marés. Let's bind these neutrals together. Yeah, you see I'm touching the neutrals and I'm not getting zapped at all. Neutral has the same potential as ground. If you touch your kitchen sink, you're touching neutral. It's literally tied to neutral in your breaker box. Clickbait, he's working on a live neutral. Small gauge stranded wires are sometimes hard to get to bind. You know, I actually do exercises to improve my ability to work overhead because I find myself doing things like this more often than I expected in life. How many irrelevance does it take to change a light bulb? Just one, because he's lifting. So, the neutral bus is tied in now. That's all we ever need from that guy. Now, this is hot. We don't want to touch that right now. Fortunately, the lights are in 2 different switches. So I can turn off the switch that this circuit's on, and then it's cold. But there's still light. Yeah, no power. Now let's strip this little annoying wire again. And connecting 2 small wires like this, it's best to just... That's where the orange marés are good. Give this a twist first. Remember, don't twist them together. Let the maré do that, or the wire nut. All right, that light's officially tied in now. If I flick the other switch, they should all come on. Bingo. Now, it's supposed to color code if you use a white wire as a hot, which is common if you have a switched circuit. I think I hear the rain. I just tuck that in there. Let's put it all back together now. So this camera doesn't quite have the same ultra wide angle lens, but, oh yeah, this room is so lit now. I made the right choice going with 3 of these light fixtures in here. Like, this is full. If I have to be working in here, this is gonna be perfect. And it's tri-light. There's 3 different light levels. Just coming in and out real quick, 1 light. Even just the 2 at the center off fills out this room quite nicely. You maybe don't even need all 3 of them. In fact, the 2 look really even. But then, you know, when you flick all 3 of them on, it just goes to 11. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to clearly see everything that I do in here. Yeah, that's great. I've decided to enhance this silliness just a little bit further. I'm actually gonna get the wires connected. The junction is already set up. All I have to do is connect this, and I'll be able to get power at the end of the wires. Now the other end's not connected yet, so I'm not gonna power it up, but I gotta drag my tools out there, so while I'm still in here, I'm gonna take on this. It's pretty straightforward, really. I just have to pull some insulation off these guys. Just they're a bit thick, so that might take a bit of doing. The ground and the neutral are already connected. This stuff is not coming off without a fight. The breakers I've ordered haven't come in yet, but I have this spare 30 amp. So I can at least get a 30 amp service until I'm done this project. Assuming these wires will fit in here, yes they will. This is going to get located right here. Flexing this thing into place is probably the hardest part because it's so heavy. The holes in these old Eaton breakers are more like large Robertson. Or are they? Jeez, they're super weird. Could just be a case of they don't want you to over torque, so. All right, now the next one. Come on now, just gotta finagle that in there. Just like that, and secure it down. Oh boy, the screws on these things suck. That should be good enough. Now, of course, we're not turning it on until we go and finish things on the other side. But at least when that's done, it'll be ready. There's a spot of rain out right now, but that doesn't mean we can't put some work in. Here's the cable in question. Now, I know I'm gonna be using at least this much. This cable's actually maybe a bit long, so I'm probably gonna be chopping off this bit. The amazing thing is that this outdoor shielding is like, just look how that pulls off. I don't know what it is with this. You'd think it would be heavier dudier, but it's actually abrades real easy. Now some of this is real simple to sort out. Ground goes right into here. That doesn't need any more attention. However, these other wires do. I can see already I forgot things inside I need to hook this up. There's a screw that goes there and some form of main breaker. Outdoor cabling has thicker insulation you have to cut through. Does it ever? This stuff just won't quit. Wow, I can't believe this. It's funny, this cable doesn't quite look as big as the other stuff. It's supposed to be though. Yeah, it's going quicker now and I got the hang of it. Or so I thought. Would you get off already? There we go. That should do. Now I need to go inside and get the things that I forgot. Next up, the neutral. Neutral goes right up into this lug here. And then it has this big beefy set screw. That should be good. Actually, this was the only bit I had that would fit. I mean Allen key in general. Now these guys gotta go into a breaker. Oh, I've got this stupid thing in the way. This is a service entrance type panel, which means it has a main breaker so that it can be hooked up to utilities. It's not a sub panel by definition. I could get power to run a utility line right to this shed on its own meter, and this panel would qualify to connect to it. So this is a spare 100 amp breaker I have, which is no big deal. It's just gonna be used as a cutoff switch. Overload protection is in the house with that 30 amp breaker. Later on, when the breakers I order come in, things are gonna be set up a lot more sensically. Ugh, this is gonna be hard to work with when I hook up this plug. Tell me I cut these long enough. I don't like where that neutral is, but I'll sort that out later. This should be ready to go now. Now I just have to go in the house and turn it on. Maybe I'll leave the camera running, see if there's explosions. All right, we're gonna grab our meter and set it to AC, set it up there to like 2000 volts. That should ground me, and then assuming everything's connected right, I should be getting 120 volts here. I am. I should be getting 120 volts here. I am. Going between the two of them, I should get 240, 242. I am. Lighting circuit, outdoor lighting circuit. Lights are lit. Outdoor lighting, let's test that. Yeah, outdoor lighting's working. Fan circuit, nothing on it. So this is where it gets interesting. This guy right here, that's the heater circuit. We're gonna test our 240 volt here. From this prong to any ground, should be 120. That prong to any ground should be 120. Both prongs at the same time, 240. It's still summer, however, I just turned on the heater. There's definitely no heat here. This knob doesn't fit nice in there. Okay, that's click. It might take a minute. Now that's assuming I connected it right, which I'm pretty sure I did. The power used to come into this side, and I had to disconnect it, connect those wires together, get the power on that side. I'm gonna do a sanity check here. I see what went wrong. It's a silly mistake. It's a safe mistake, but it's a silly mistake. This has a neutral pass-through. I connected the two out wires to the neutral pass-through. I just made a mistake on where it connects. I've cut power to this. That was a dumb little mistake. It could have been ended disaster if that was the input side, putting 240 volts together like that. Fortunately, it's on the load side, so. Now, turn that on. Now we turn this on. So we got a thermostat on this. I heard the click. Oh, yeah, she's getting warm, bud. It's not profound, but there's definitely heat coming off of that. 1500 watts of baseboard would probably be pretty effective in here. I'm gonna let that brew a little while, or I don't know. One of the next situations I wanna nip in the butt is this guy right here. This is gonna be as easy as it is hard, because again, we have a situation with big wires. You know what sucks? The wires are coming in from the bottom. That means these big wires have to come all the way down and around, because I'm under the impression that that's the top there. But then all the writing is this way. But then the writing on the thing itself is this way. It's gonna be fun getting those down and around. So this is 6 gauge right here. Need some of that. Enough to span from the top of the box down to the bottom. Looks like about that much right there. Yeah, that heater definitely works. I better turn it off. So, once again, the ground is bonded to the chassis, so I don't need the ground wire. I just need the two hots and the neutral. Might be easier to go the other way. It might be easier to say that these are the right length and chop them off. You need a hacksaw to chop these off all together. Is this even gonna do it? Yeah, eventually. Now I'm gonna do one of these. There's still plenty of light to work on this. The board's completely cold now. The only hot parts are right in there, and you have to be pretty dumb to accidentally touch those. So that's gotta be enough down there. If it's not, we're in trouble. This guy has to get connected. Everything on this side's connected now, so find a hole. So the GFCI is bound to neutral now. So, load, neutral, load. Got to spar with heavy insulation again. Not gonna lie, I'm sweating now. I think that heater raised the temperature in here pretty quickly. While I'm at it, I'm gonna do that 3 more times. All right, let's see what it takes to get these into there. Neutral is the center blade, and then the other two are hots. Oh boy, come on. All right, now will this big beefy fold into there? I'm thinking not without a fight. Or you know what? I think we're gonna be good. Yeah. Now is this bulging out or is it gonna go flat? I knew this one was gonna be tricky. I'm gonna make these wires go around it. That's a little bit better. They're still gonna put up a fight, but they fit in there. Yeah, that's good now. Okay, now I just have to spar with these ones next. Man, it's probably better if I cut these again, eh? But I don't wanna. Yeah, it's better that way. All right, the annoying process of stripping once again. All right, into the hole. That's one. On the GFCI breaker, the center one is neutral. I imagine if I did this professionally, there's some industrial strength strippers I can get that make quick work out of that. All right, now turn the main back on, turn this on, test. Meter, ground to here, should be 120, should be 120, should be 240. Yes, yes. Impedance check to check for grounding. Yep, just took a bit to find the prong. Oh boy, there is just one circuit left, and that is the plug runs. Those will be pretty easy. You know what? I'm going red, black, red, black, red, black. I want to match my phases on this one. Turn it off, turn it all off. Yeah. Now here's two more implements to further test on this. I'll get to this one right away. This is my other heater. It's got 1,000 watts heater with a fan on it and a 1,000 watt convector. So it's modular. And this is what I got this for. So I could use this. Everything's on. Is its little pilot light on? It's not working. That's weird. Did the breaker trip? There it goes. Yeah, it's blasting heat. Plus the convection's gonna run. Now here's the funny thing, 30 amps. I heard a spark. Why did I hear a spark? Baseboard's running. Is it just like trigger arc? Like there's a bug in there. Off and I see a little bit of arc. That's one of the reasons why I like this switch. You can whack on it hard and fast. Okay, this is pumping 3,500 watts of heat into this room. I think I felt it raise a degree just now. Okay, so our heater is good. Then there's this thing. This thing is quite interesting. You might recognize this thing as it was featured in my opening video. This is a mini distribution panel. You got a stove plug here, goes to this miniature fuse box, and then it breaks out to these things. So we got 220 amps here and 220 amps here, but it's a common trip breaker because they jump over to, that's the same plug as the beige buddy up there to plug that heater into. The purpose of this thing is to be able to plug it into stove plugs. Just like that, and be able to get power distributed all around. So let's test this. Oh yeah, that GFCI is working. Now, to test the GFCI on that, I do it using my tool that I know really tests them. And that's this guy right here. This was in my evening with GFCI video. That's also where I got this thing and tested it. So basically, you plug this into a GFCI, and then you press the button. So this GFCI pops first. But if we weren't using that GFCI, what if we were using this? Oh, look at that. So I know these two receptacles are in different phases. So that phase and that phase. That's the reason why I dragged this out here, just to test to make sure that that GFCI works again, because we didn't already and made a whole video about it. That distro panel, I got it from my generator. I have a generator that has a stove plug on it and a 25-foot extension, so I can put the generator somewhere, use the extension, plug it into there, do live concerts, outdoors events. Don't really need it in here. The shed's got more than enough power already. It's got this. I don't have to plug in a heater really. I'm gonna have all sorts of receptacles. What we can do, if it's not too wet out, test the outside GFCI. Because I just heard a pop. For some reason, the GFCI receptacle outside popped when I flicked the circuit on. Doesn't appear to be wet, and I know all the ducts are sealed. This is how I got this set up right now. As long as I'm careful, we're fine. So if we plug into here, yeah, I got a light, grounded, light neutral, and tells me it's connected properly, and finally, it pops the GFCI. That's not the only one. We also got the one around back that I still haven't figured out the best way to open. And you can tuck a cable in, positive, yeah, ground, neutral, good, and it pops the GFCI over there. Outdoor circuit's working as it should. That means I can go ahead and do this. If I need the lamp inside my other shed here, gotta go reset the GFCI first. So that means the light in there works. That's pretty much all that's in there. I think I want that switch for inside. It's too cute. Unplug this for now. Then of course, light. And this guy that I glued on it feels solid now. I glued this one on too though, didn't I? Oh yeah, that's not going anywhere.